Views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the participants. The hosts make no claim to be literary experts, and their opinions are exactly that, opinions. All creative works discussed or reviewed are the intellectual property of the creators of said stories and is being used under the Fair Use Doctrine.
Hello and welcome to Of Swords and Soulmates, a podcast where we read, watch, and discuss romantasy stories and romantasy adjacent things. I'm one of your usual hosts, Mari, and with me I have a different crew today for a very special bonus episode. With me I have Tally.
I'm Tally, aka Smut and Stitches on Instagram.
Nice. And Kyle.
I'm Kyle. I'm actually Tally's brother, and I go by Phaser Shift pretty much everywhere.
Cool. And we have Rich.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rich. On Instagram, I am Minotaur Reads.
And Jen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen. I'm Demi Angel 2 on Instagram. Demi Angel pretty much everywhere else. Nice to talk to you.
And we have Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I am Madcap Katie on Instagram.
Awesome. We've got the whole crew here. So today we're going to be talking about our experiences at the first ever Monsterotica BookCon that took place in Baltimore, Maryland at the Hyatt Regency Baltimore Inner Harbor on May 8th through May 10th of this year, 2025, hosted by Unfortunate Reads. None of us knew each other. Well, I guess Tally and Kyle, you guys knew each other, and Rich, Jen, and Katie, you guys knew each other, but all of us did not know each other beforehand. And it's a testament to I think the nature of and the camaraderie of the con, of how we got together to decide to do this with basically strangers. All right, so I'm just going to kind of have everyone introduce themselves. I'll introduce myself first in case anyone is listening to just this episode and has never heard of us before. I'm Mari. I'm one of the hosts on Of Swords and Soulmates. We generally do romantasy stories, but I like to read, so I like to read beyond just romantasy. Monster romance is one of my jams. I got into monster romance. See, this question depends on how you define a monster. For me personally, if it can't pass as human, it's a monster.
Fair.
Yeah. So, if it's a vampire or a shifter that can pass as human most of the time, I don't count that as a monster romance, personally. I know everyone's got their own definition, so I don't count, my vampire phase or my shifter phase. So for me, I would say it started with, Krampus books. I got into holiday reading, and then I was like, oh, Krampus. Oh, Krampus. Okay. And it just went downhill or uphill from there, however you want to judge it. I have been to cons before. I go to Dragon Con in Atlanta every year, which is a general sci-fi fantasy fandom kind of con. And I went to my first book con last year in Orlando, Romantasy Con. So I've had a few under my belt, not a ton, but a few. And yeah, Tally, you want to introduce yourself a little?
Yeah. So as I said, I'm Tally. I kind of switched over into the bookstagram scene a few years ago, Smut and Stitches. I've always been a big fan of fantasy and kind of monsters. My upbringing was very out there. There was nothing really kind of taboo or off limits. And I think a lot of people had thoughts when it came to Kovu in The Lion King 2. And I think that's where mine started, but I didn't get into I'm just going to blow right past that. I didn't get into monster romance until 2022. I was doing mostly fan fiction reading. I was really disappointed with the way that the new Star Wars trilogy ended. So I started getting really into fan fiction, and someone had shared a Raylo fan fiction, but it was inspired by Planet Barbarians. So I read it and I was like, this seems like a really cool world. I'm going to have to do some research, because I loved reading as a kid, and I just kind of slowed down and did a lot more of just online stuff since having kids and trying to work. And so I looked up Ruby Dixon and read the synopsis for the first one. I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a try. I did the entire Planet Barbarians series within a month.
Oh.
That series is 22 books.
Wow.
I would binge read like 2 books a night because I have no respect for myself. And it kind of just spiraled from there. I fell in love with especially like fated mates, and you get a lot of that in monster romance. So I was hooked, and then it went from there to Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nescosta, and then it just kind of exploded everywhere. I have never been to any
Interesting
conventions
choice of
before.
words.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I'm mentally a 12-year-old boy. So, but I've never been to any kind of conventions. I have always longed to go to a convention. I mean, I would watch clips from San Diego Comic Con all the time. I've got friends who would go to the Motor City Comic Con and were really big into like recreations of Star Wars costumes. And then, of course, my Kyle also was into cons, but I did go to Dreaming Dirty in Michigan a couple of times, and it's more of a signing event than a con. There were no panels or anything, but it was kind of my first taste of, okay, we're going to shove you in a room with a bunch of people to meet these authors. I was like, this is fun, a little terrifying, but a little fun. And by the time from starting from like 2022 to about, early 2024, I'd heard of a Polycon and just felt sad that I'd never be able to go, and that I didn't know all these authors, but I didn't want to get into it because sometimes I felt like it was really just completely out of the scope of possibility for me. But I was following Cassie, her Unfortunate Reads Instagram and her TikTok, because she would review a lot of monster romance books. And then she posted Monsterotica. I was hooked. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go. I was telling my husband about it. I was telling random people about it, that I was like, oh, you like books? I like books. Let me tell you about the weird stuff that I read. And then I'd never hear from those people again. And then I told my brother about it. So I think because we had a similar kind of reading taste growing up, I just reached out to my brother, because people ask me who my best friends are. I will say my husband and my brother, and that's okay because it's true. We're all a couple of weirdos, and I reached out to Kyle, and Kyle kind of took over from there, and we were able to do something as siblings, and it was really amazing.
Cool. Kyle, what about you?
So, yeah, again, going off of what Tally was talking about, I guess I'll start at the top of the list again. I'm Kyle. I go by Phaser Shift most everywhere. I've done some Twitch streaming. I've done some cosplay. I'll get into that. But I'm not really active on any sort of social media. I actually had my first Instagram post ever just to share what I wore for the con.
Which was pretty darn
for
cool.
Monsterotica. But yeah, I'll go actually a little bit out of order.
Yeah.
So I heard about Monsterotica, as you just heard from Tally. I knew that she was into the monster romance books, and she had her Instagram, and I always thought that was a cool thing for her to do, and a niche that she fit well into. And she told me about Monsterotica. She's like, hey, there's this convention coming up that I really want to go to, but I know I'm never going to be able to. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's a great idea for something for us to do together, because I wanted to, do something just to show my appreciation for my sister over all the years of putting up with me. And so I'm sitting there when the tickets went on sale. Yeah, I know. I'm sitting there at work refreshing my phone, and I got the 2 tickets before they sold out in 5 minutes. And then at that point, I'm like, I should probably start reading some of this monster romance stuff just so I can, know what's going on. So I started asking Tally for book recommendations, and she would pull out my Kindle so I can remember what she
sent you a good checklist.
Yeah.
I think my first one I had you read was The Spider's Mate.
Tiffany Roberts.
No, actually.
Tiffany Roberts.
It may have been, but there was the Corrupted Mate, I believe, is the first one they had me, which is book 2 of Infinite Union by Trish Heinrich, because it was male and female aliens. And it was all right. I found I didn't enjoy it too much, but then you had me read Spider's Mate, series, and I liked that one a lot more. But something that I've talked about a lot and feel a little uncomfortable about, I guess you could say, is that romance is a very female dominated genre. And I'm a guy and I like girls, so I want my monsters to be ladies and my ladies to be monsters. So after I read that, she suggested Surrendering to Scylla by Ren K. Morris, and I loved that book. It was everything I wanted. So, afterwards I went through a lot of the authors that were going to be at the con and reading a couple from each one, trying to focus more on the female monsters and stuff like that. And I would say that was the first time I got into monster romance, but as I was reading, I realized I've actually been into monster romance, not necessarily books, but just in general for quite a while. Just being in various fantasy fandoms, and the whole furry scene has kind of that. And there's been some games I've played, I guess you could say, that have been a little bit similar to monster romance.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh yeah, I was already part of this group. I didn't even know it.
One of us.
I should say, it's been around and prevalent
I don't know when that first started,
much more than people realized.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess to wrap up a bit, as Telly said, I have been to quite a few, mostly anime cons, but a few other like fantasy or gaming conventions. Not super often. Like maybe I'll do a couple in a year and then take a few years off. But I've been to quite a few, and I cosplay a couple times. And but I had never been to a book con before, so this one was quite a bit different than what I'm used to for anime conventions. It was a little bit unusual, or like a bit of a surprise to see how different it was. But still, I went and I had a lot of fun, even if I don't really follow the authors, and most of them I've only read like one book, except for a couple where I've read the series. So I am not too familiar, and I didn't really have a desire to get anything signed, but still going, doing all the trading, meeting other people. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I was able to go with my sister.
Cool. What about you, Rich?
Hey guys, so once again, I'm Rich. And actually, so we're going to hit on a couple of similar themes here. I actually got into monster romance because I was big into romantasy for quite a while. When I started getting back into reading, I picked up a lot of more traditional fantasy stories, and I noticed that the books that I really enjoyed had a romance element to them. And then my sister, Katie, one day she was already into monster romance, and she started telling me about these books that she was reading and recommending certain book series. And I believe about 3 years ago, the first one I picked up was the Creature Cafe series by Cleo Evans. And
Such a good series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. I read all of those, at least that were out at the time, and I continued reading them, and I kind of dove in, and this has been the main genre that I follow pretty much ever since. I think that was about, I think I said 3 years ago. So yeah, but it's just kind of been all consuming. But as far as cons go, we've been going to cons for about almost 20 years. So we are close to New York Comic Con. So that is our main convention. We go just about every year. I've also been to a couple of like gaming conventions, PAX East and PAX Unplugged. But this was my very first book convention. And I have to say, I think that it's probably my favorite convention that I've ever been to.
Nice.
Even more so than even more so than like New York Comic Con. So it really was just that great.
Jen, what about you?
Well, I am Jen, again, DemiAngel2 on Instagram. And I am actually Rich's wife. And I got into monster romance actually, I believe, because I love to read. I've loved reading ever since I was a little kid. I don't remember, from my recollection, of reading any monster romance when I was younger. or even a couple of years ago. But when Katie and Rich started getting very into the monster romance scene, they were reading a lot of books, and I would ask them what they were reading. And the theme sounded nice. So I asked for recommendations. And the first recommendation that I had gotten was actually from Katie, and it was Morning Glory Milking Farm. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And then I branched out into reading all the Hollow Coves books. I missed reading one. That's probably going to be one of the next ones I read. But regardless, I actually fell in love with the genre. And regarding Monsterotica, they were both going to the convention. I've never been to Baltimore. And I said, if you guys don't mind, can I tag along? I'd love to go and see the authors, see, the people going, see what's going on, and see the city itself too. So I tagged along, absolutely loved it, so excited for the next one.
Yeah.
And so I kind of was the third wheel of this. And just in regards to any cons, it was actually our first book con together, just for all of us.
Nice.
But I've been to PAX East, PAX Unplugged, and as Rich said, numerous years of New York Comic Con.
Nice. What about you, Katie?
So hello again, I'm Katie, Madcap Katie on Instagram. I actually got into monster romance through my roommate from college. She was really big into the romance scene, got really big into monster romance. She introduced me to Planet Barbarians, and that kind of opened the door into the wonderful world of monster romance. From there, I got really big into the Cleo Evans Creature Cafe series, really big into C.M. Nascosta, Ashley Bennett. I love all of it. And I've been really into monster romance probably for at least the past 7 to 10 years. Like Rich and Jen said, this was our first ever book con. It was a lot of fun. I followed Cassie on Instagram for quite a long time. And when she started putting out feelers about would people be interested in going to a monster romance book convention, I was from the get-go, I was like, if this is a thing, I don't care where it is, I will get there. And like they said, I've been to a lot of New York Comic Con, PAX. This by far is the best convention I've been to. The community is so great. Everyone's so welcoming. It's very easy to introduce yourself to like-minded people and not feel like you're going to be shut out or shunned. Everyone's so lovely and welcoming. The authors are great. The vendors that were there were so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I went solo to this one, and this is the first con I've been to, or even book event that I've been to by myself. Like, I've traveled by myself before, but never like to an event thing like this. I initially I was able to get 2 tickets, and it just, everyone who was potentially going to go with me, it all fell through. So I'm like, that's fine. I'm still going. And I don't think I ever really felt, weird or like anybody was standoffish. Like, I thought it was, a really good, welcoming community.
One of the authors even said she said it was the safest she's ever felt surrounded by a complete group of strangers.
Yes. Absolutely.
And there go my dogs.
So I've met Tally and Kyle first because we all did the light rail from the airport. We met at the airport and went into the hotel from there. So did anybody? I was general admission. What was everyone else's ticket level? Did anybody do the Thursday stuff?
Katie and I were VIP, but we weren't the highest tier.
Okay.
Jen was general admission.
Okay. Yeah, so I didn't do anything on Thursday. My whole thing was if I got there early enough to do the registration, I was going to take care of that, but I didn't, and that was fine. I thought registration on Friday morning was like super easy.
It's super easy.
Yeah. I don't know if I was just anxious about it or used to events where people are like lining up way in advance or whatever. But,
yeah, I was so anxious about it. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to get there in time? And how's this going to work? And then we get there. I was able to walk right up. Here's your bag. I was like, I know we got a bag, but there's actually goodies in here too. Oh my goodness. And everybody was so nice. And even like when it came time to line up, people are like chatting.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons for that and a difference from a lot of the other cons I've been to is, there are only a set number of tickets and they're all sold already. So there's nobody buying tickets at the door at registration. And I there weren't like pre-printed badges that somebody had to find. There was just the, what tier are you, general or VIP, and then you had your different bags. But otherwise, it was just grab one and go, write your name and put your pronouns on your badge, and that's it. So it was like, I mean, I know we didn't show up right at the beginning on Friday, but it was just walk up to the counter. I was even unsure, like, is this registration? Yeah, there's no line here. It's just a table with some people behind it. So
Right.
it's like,
Yeah. What lanyard you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the things that really helped with this too was the fact that I don't know about some of the other cons you guys have been to, but a lot of the time the volunteers aren't really well informed. So you go up to somebody with a question, or you go up and, and they aren't even sure where you're supposed to be. And I think it speaks to just honestly how well prepared Cassie was, and how that she knew what to tell people, because every volunteer that I spoke to throughout the entire convention had the answers. If not, they knew exactly where to go to get them. Everybody knew where people were supposed to go. So I think that really contributed to making registration just a super smooth process.
I agree. And it's like they weren't stressed out.
And even if things,
so it didn't stress out anybody else.
Nobody felt stressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so even if things, I felt like, with any kind of event, things are going to go sideways, and you have to kind of plan for that. But I feel like of the things that went sideways, they were handled in such a way that nobody felt super stressed. Like, I know that the panels had less seating than they originally thought, so they had to work with that, and they really quickly came up with an alternate plan on that day, and it was just really very smooth. Nobody seemed upset. Nobody seemed stressed. And I mean, I know I saw Cassie running around like crazy, and I'm sure she was stressed out beyond belief, but all of the staff and all of the volunteers, they all had their cool, and they were super helpful and super chill. And I loved that there was always someone at registration. So if you wanted to switch your lanyard from, ask to I'm open for hugs, you could just go up and talk to them at any point.
Yeah. That's one thing that I thought was really neat that I don't think I'd seen done before at any event I'd been to. They had the different lanyards. It was red, yellow, and green. And red was like, don't touch me. Yellow was ask. And green was, open to hugs and touching and whatnot. That they had that, and that you could just switch it out whenever, no questions asked, I thought was really good thinking ahead and like making people feel comfortable.
Yeah, that is one thing I've noticed in this monster romance community, is how accepting and welcoming and accommodating everyone is for any sort of, requirements or personal feelings that people might have with, little pronoun stickers I mentioned. I really liked that they had those, and they had a big variety of them, plus the blank one that you could just write your own in. And the lanyards for your, the physical consent, it was all very inclusive, and I loved how they did that. And like you said, it's not something I've seen at another con. I think I may have seen some talking about it, but I haven't been to one with them.
Yeah.
This is also, I think, the first convention I've been to where they had a spot on your badge that you could put like your name or like your Instagram handle or your Discord handle. So that way, if you might not know what someone looks like, but you've talked to them online, you can be like, oh my God, I know who you are. We've talked a bunch online, or I follow you on Instagram. So it made it feel a lot more of like a personal group experience instead of just like a bunch of strangers in a room.
Right. I agree.
Well, I think it also helped the authors by having like a name tag really visible, because they're signing things, and as long as you've got your name tag present and visible, they don't have to go, okay, how do you spell it? And it was loud, it wasn't ungodly loud, but if there's certain, I'm sure my name would have gotten misspelled, and because everybody, Tally's such a unique name, but the fact that they were just like, okay, can I see your badge? What, your name? And it, because not only were the badges super adorable, but and then they had the space for your name if you wanted a nickname or if you wanted to put your handle instead. I thought that was really awesome. And then on the flip side, having the QR codes for the different, so the online queues.
Yeah, how did that online queuing thing go
in the
for
map?
you guys?
You have it all accessible with you. You didn't have to look anything up.
Right. How did you guys? Do you have any what was your experience like with the whole online queuing for signing? Did you guys get to do anybody that you wanted to have stuff signed? Did you have any issues?
We actually did have an issue
with Gemlin
with Gemlin's
on the first day
line, but it was just as the con opened for VIP on the very first day, so it was brand new for everybody, and it was just people were accessing the line through the app, but then once you got to the booth to actually get checked in, it was like everything got all out of order. So like, for example, like I was number 3 and like I ended up pretty far back in the line, and like the people around me were like 29, like 64. It was just like people had no idea honestly what was going on. But other than that, right at the start of the con, I used it 2 or 3 more times, and it always seemed to go pretty well.
Yeah, I used it to get on Opal Rain and Regina Abel's line, and it worked very well for me. I liked that they kind of told you where your spot was. You had, if you were waiting in line for another author and you were running late, you could like mark on it that you were running late when it was your time, so you didn't get kicked off the queue.
I went to get in line for Regine and pre-orders or pickups or anything like that, and she was like, "Okay, I've got you checked in. If you want to go physical lines a little bit shorter, but I've got you here." And so those volunteers or staff were super chill and amazing, and they were like, "Yeah, we got this, don't worry, we're just going to go with the flow." And I know some authors had to get added on because lines were weird, but everybody was just kind of like, "I don't know what's happening, we're just going to go with it."
Everyone was very go with the flow. It's like if something changed, even like the authors were like, "That's fine," the people there were like, "It's all good." It's just like everyone wanted to have a good time and wanted to make sure it could run as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, the waitlist thing, I know it had a couple issues the first day just because people hadn't used it before and they didn't really know how. So there were people that were like getting in the line multiple times just because they were refreshing the page when they shouldn't have. But once they figured out why, and sent out an announcement on the other app,
Discord. No, the other app. You're right.
Oh, Discord, yes, but I'm blanking on Yap, which was like the app they used for the con in general, explaining how it should be used. It was very smooth, and I think it was a great idea just to keep the lines down. Otherwise, they would have completely clogged up that vendor hall.
Right.
So even if you weren't in the exact order that you were signed up in the app, it was like, okay, you're coming up soon, so get in line, and then they mark you as there, and then you just wait in a line that's 10 people instead of 30.
Yeah, and it gave you the opportunity to just walk around and look at everything else and participate in the vending instead of just standing in line. You knew you had X amount of minutes.
Yeah, at some other cons, I know there's been times where it's like you miss several of the panels or other things that you wanted to do because you were waiting in line for a certain author or a certain voice actor.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories.
So it was real nice to be able to do that. Although I was feeling a little uncomfortable when I only used it once to get in Opal Rain's line, and it was like I sign up, okay, I'm a ways down the list, so I have some time to do something else, and then I got a text saying you're up next. I'm like, wait, what? I'm not ready.
Not emotionally ready for this.
That's a good thing because
I need 3 to 5 minutes to process.
Moving faster than I expected.
Yeah, I agree. Like
I do think day 2 moved much faster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, by day 2, I was able to, like, there were parts where you can just go up and get in line. There wasn't even waitlist for people that was waitlist on day 1. Didn't even have waitlist on day 2 by towards the end of it, because I guess everybody who was on that list already got to see them, so it was easier to just walk up to some of them too. So,
yeah.
I will say though, and this may just be my bias, the Yap app that had like the schedule, the guest list, and the map, I don't think that was entirely necessary because the schedule was linear. Meaning there was only one event at any time and there were gaps between, because all the cons I've been to like had expansive schedules where you had to choose, I want to go to this one or that one.
Yes.
And it was nice not to have to choose, but I mean, I found you didn't really need the schedule or the app to see what events there were, because there was one panel and there was the vendor hall and then, the monster karaoke.
I did like the digital building map though.
Yeah, that was really
Yes.
nice.
as
Yeah,
opposed to just
absolutely.
the vendor map. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
access the Yap app, I don't think at all during the con. Because, yeah, I agree that schedule was really, it was really refreshing to not have to pick between multiple things. And it was refreshing to be like, okay, this is a time where now it's like lunchtime or go in the room and take a nap time, whatever. It's time to like refresh your batteries however way you do that, which I think made the entire day more enjoyable.
Not even just for us as attendees, but for the volunteers and staff and the
Yes.
authors and guests having
They
a
got to
break
enjoy their
in
time
their
as well.
right, having breaks and stuff like that where they didn't have to be at their booth all day
Right.
was really nice for them, because that is another thing that I think is a big difference between the anime cons that I've been to and this, where like at anime cons or other cons, there's the vendors that are selling things and then there's the guests that are signing things. Here, pretty much all of the guests were vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't there just to stand at their booth and sell things. They were there to, interact and participate in panels and stuff like that. So having those breaks and the times for the vendor hall to shut down so they could do the panel or take lunch, I think was a very good way to run a small con like this.
I
Oh,
agree.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that break for like lunch and that break for dinner or break in the afternoon as well, I think allowed people to do other things together. Like
Mm.
Opal Rain had a lunch thing that she did with people from the Discord that, wasn't officially part of the con.
They couldn't get, it was for people who maybe lived nearby but didn't necessarily weren't able to get tickets, because I'm on her Discord as well. And I thought, that was really awesome that she was able to do that. And I know
Right.
a lot of these authors and vendors and artists are friends but have never had the opportunity to meet in person, so it gave people the chance to go get lunch or go get coffee or dinner together, and I thought that was really cool as well.
Yeah.
It also helped with people that have, strong anxiety and FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes.
Because when it's a full schedule, it's like, I could go to this panel, right? I could go get lunch, or I can spend some more time in the vendor hall, or go to this panel,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
I could go to the panel and then starve.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it freed up people so they weren't worried about having to choose between things.
Right.
And
Just decision paralysis was
just-
out of the picture.
Yeah, exactly. It was very, very stress-free.
Yeah.
I also feel like having that nice break in the middle gave everyone a time to kind of just like reboot. So like everyone in the afternoon was like in a good mood, because like we've been to cons where it's the afternoon and everyone's just miserable because you've been on your feet all day. It's
You're
crowded.
exhausted.
It's too much. Where it's like you just get a nice time to recharge your batteries, come back. The vendors are in a good mood. The authors are in a good mood. The guests are in a good mood.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
It also, I felt, was beneficial because even if you didn't want to do lunch or something like that, there was that beautiful atrium and people just hung out there during lunch and dinner times for trades or just to socialize. And I did that during lunch. I just would sit there until it was time to head up to the panel, and met some really amazing people just kind of chilling.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some really talented people making things and printing things and, whatever for the trades. And it
Oh my
was a
God,
good way
yeah.
to like talk to people.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Yes.
really like the
Perfect segue.
trade thing, yeah, because it's just
Kelly?
like for people who have like social anxiety and it's hard to talk to other people, it's a great way to kind of introduce yourself and just be like, hi, I'm so and so. Are you guys trading? You want to trade? And you kind of talk to someone for a little bit and you can get to meet somebody. It's a really nice, easy way to put yourself out there without feeling uncomfortable.
Right.
That's always my issue, even at these kind of events where I know people are interested in the same kind of things as I am. It's once I'm talking to somebody, it's fine, but actually getting up to them and talking to them, and the trading really was just such a nice
It
icebreaker.
really, really helped.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I think that was part of a lot of the fun that I had leading up to the con was 3D printing all my little trades, because I've got my printers and I don't have reason to use them too much, but doing this and showing off the things that I've been making and stuff like that, it was a lot of fun to kind of build the excitement for me. And at the con, people who would seek me out and me seeking others out because we were sharing what we were making to trade or even not to trade, just to hand out was fun. I know I made little 3D printed magnetic pins, and
Mhm.
I really enjoyed
Love them.
finding anything magnetic and just kind of sticking them around.
Yeah.
I
They were very fun
tried.
to find.
He was
I
trying to do it to people too. He was trying to
so many people had those
and
book
people would
cards.
look at him so weird.
I just kind of like slink up and try to stick it to the handle of their book cards, but I'd say like 90% of them were aluminum and not magnetic. And I was so upset.
Yeah.
There were a couple that I got, and there was even somebody I was talking to, later, and she was just like, I just found one of these on my handle. I just, went to grab my cart, and suddenly there was a dick in my hand. I'm like, that was me.
I did that.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
good time. Good time.
My favorite was when people would share what trades they had, and they'd be like, okay, well, I'm at the couches in the atrium, or I'm over here. And then all of a sudden you'd be like, save a dragon dick for me. And people would like come running, or I hit the half of us are in freaking costumes trying to find tiny little 3 employees for the hotel, saying that they were just having a blast
Right.
watching the people trade. And it was just so much fun, because even people are like, I didn't bring anything except my undying love and devotion. And people are throwing trades at each other, and
Yeah.
it was just so much fun.
And like there's the 3 tables out in the atrium that were basically just always covered with random trades. People would spread out their wares.
Yes,
People would
yeah.
just pick through, oh, this is cute, I want this. And like I had done that, set my bag down and went off somewhere else for a minute. I came back and there was like a tentacle pen just sitting on my backpack. I was like, I guess somebody traded that with me, but okay.
You now have a passenger.
Well, it's
so
nice
you just
because I
kinda
feel like
wander
in that
around
way it reduced some of that stigma of getting like, okay, am I going to give something equal or not equal?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
because I only brought a certain amount. I had laser engraved goodies. So I had some earrings and some keychains and some bookmarks. And a lot of people are like, well, I just brought stickers. Joke's on them. I'm a sticker whore and I love stickers. So I will gladly rifle through a whole bunch of stickers and pull out my favorites, And then there was someone who brought like liquid IV and Purell. And I'm like, that is the smartest thing I've seen all day. That is the
Yeah.
mom
Mhm.
in me going out like, yes, hydration, people.
Absolutely. Did anybody go to any of the panels? I did not make it to any of the panels. Did anybody
We
get
did
We
there?
did not make it to a panel.
I really wanted
Okay.
to go to Friday's panel, but it was one of those deals where when the issue came up with the seating, it was just kind of one of those things where I've been at cons before where I like have to wait in line for a really long time to get in panels. And I was like, you know what? It's better that somebody else can have the seat that I would take.
Yeah.
So Tally
Kyle
and
and
I
I
did
were
make it to
able.
both of the panels.
Yes, we did.
How were they?
They were fun.
My
Both
my
of them, they
audio
were a
is
little
delayed.
different. Yeah, you're kind of getting out a little bit too, but they were fun. I was a little surprised that, I guess maybe not surprised, but they were different formats. Like the first one, I will never remember anybody's name, let alone the authors, but they had one person who was acting as like the host, asking the questions to the series of authors that were sitting up at the table. And it wasn't like an audience Q&A like I was kind of expecting. They had these set questions and they went through and said their piece, and it was really interesting to see, like the thought process behind the design of their monsters and
Mhm.
and that sort of thing. And both panels ended up with a couple rather large dildos on the table. So
Nice.
yeah, it was interesting to see. Even like for me, who doesn't follow the authors, it was still very enjoyable.
Nice. And then they
And even
had
the crowded room was managed well.
good. Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll release the audio or something of it. I know
They did
said,
video record everything.
right. That's what I've
So
heard.
hopefully they'll put it together and release it at some point. I'm not sure
Yeah,
when or where.
hopefully we'll see. But for the evening activities, there was Monster Karaoke the first night, book trivia the second night. Monster Karaoke was fun. I do not sing. No one wants to hear me sing. But there were some talented people there.
We only like the very,
I was
very
very
end
impressed.
of it. Yeah, and honestly, it sounded like people were having an absolutely amazing time.
We did go
I've
to
had
book
Pink
trivia.
Pony Club stuck in my head for 3 weeks now.
That's me on a normal week.
Yeah, true. Same.
I
So,
can't remember. I
went
think
to.
it was. I think it
You think it was?
was Hot to Go or Pink Pony Club, but it's been stuck in my head. I did get up there and sing,
You rocked it up there.
Yeah, you did.
and it was terrifying and amazing.
It was
And
a
then,
good
of course, well, you sang the Shrek version of "I Need a Hero,"
time.
As it should be.
and of course, I was surprised to see a little bit later cosplays of Shrek and the fairy godmother were
Oh,
there.
that's too funny.
I think that was
So it's
GM
like, oh man, if they were there a little
Fairy,
earlier,
and her part
was it?
That's cool.
showed up as. I think because she's the one who wrote the "Get in My Swamp." So if I had to venture a
Yeah.
guess, I
That's
think it was
true.
her.
Yeah, and speaking of, a lot of the other authors like
Nova's
Nicole
singing.
Parker,
They're amazing.
and a lot of the authors dressed up as some of their characters. Like, was it Latrixa Nova who wore the Jack in the Box costume?
Yes, they dressed
Yes.
up as the Jack character. Yep. And then Casso Shire also dressed up as Elsbeth
Mhm.
from The Rake, or Orca who met his match in a Selkie seeking revenge. And I think there was somebody else. There were several. Nicole Parker dressed as the Duracell bunny, but the off-brand Duracell bunny.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
a
was
couple
fun.
inflatable, lots of Mothman and tentacles.
Mhm.
But
Then there was that
so
school.
I went to the monster karaoke or the costume karaoke for the costume because my little secret, as I was 3D printing peens, I also 3D printed a wolf skull mask for Orpheus from A Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. And I put a lot of work into that, doing the lights and the modeling. Well, I found files online that I adapted. But when I saw that the first night would be costume karaoke, it's like, okay, I'm going to go as a surprise. And as Tally and I were getting ready, like I'd gotten into costume and we had walked over. We were in a hotel next door. We walked over. I realized I had forgotten part of it. It's like, okay, I'm going to go back and grab that. You go ahead. And as I'm walking back with the rest of my costume, I get a text. Before I continue that, I have to preface with there was a faunus on Friday during the day, another Dusk Walker cosplay.
Mhm.
And I talked to them, in the vendor hall a little bit, and I was excited because there was going to be 2 Dusk Walkers there, myself and this faunus. And as I'm coming a little bit late to the costume karaoke, Tally texts me saying, "Get over here. There's a Magnar. Magnar's here already." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then wait, do you mean faunus? No, Magnar. There was a 3rd Dusk Walker there too.
Yep.
That's my
And-
favorite series. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get him wrong, dude.
I know, but was I remembering incorrectly? But yeah, so there was a Magnar there, and the faunus did show up again a bit later, and I was there as Orpheus. The other 2 were there with their partners, also cosplaying their respective brides. I was alone.
Well, there was a witch
But-
the owl witch was there too. There was a person dressed as the
Oh,
owl
I wasn't
the
going
owl
to dress
was
as
there
your
too.
bride, though.
I know. I
witch.
wouldn't. But if there were any other volunteers, I would have.
That's
No.
just-
But yeah, the owl witch was there, and I saw her, and I
I
just
have to
shouted.
say that you guys getting the attention that you so rightfully deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was neat when Opal Rain herself showed up and she started talking to me, and it took a second, but I realized who it was pretty quickly. And she asked, "Oh, how well can you see in that thing?" I'm like, pretty well." And she goes, "This is Opal, by the way." The full mask with the eye coverings and lights. And looking back at the pictures that people took, it was a lot brighter in the atrium there than I realized. Like I thought it was pretty dark in there, but I guess it was just because I was wearing a mask the whole time.
Right.
But yeah, it was really fun with the whole family photo with not just 3 Dusk Walkers, but 3 different Dusk Walkers. There weren't any duplicates like I kind of expected there to be, but they were also from books 1, 2, and 3 in the series, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And the brides and the owl witch, I don't remember what we call her. And then, of course, the mother of all of them Opal were there, so there's some nice group photos.
Hidden away, and then
Lots of pictures, and it was a good time. I did want to sing something karaoke, and I was trying to figure out what would be funny for Orpheus to go up and sing. But by the time I, got myself in the queue, my voice was gone, and it was too late. It didn't even get close to reaching me anyway.
Yeah.
But so it was probably for the best. But yeah,
I
and then
almost wish that
Orpheus
karaoke had gone for like another
almost
hour.
Saturday.
I agree. I think it could have easily.
Oh, if it did.
I think people
All I
were
know
planning
is
on going
that-
out dancing afterwards.
Mm.
But my 35-year-old body was not going to do any of that.
Yeah, there was a group that went to a club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how?
Yeah, no, thank you. Like my 45-year-old self already using a cane just to walk around all day. No, I was like, I applaud your energy, people. No.
Also, Kyle, I don't know if it was you or if it was one of the other Dusk Walkers, but all I know is one of the Dusk Walkers was playing with Rich and my 2-year-old daughter, because she was also at the hotel with us during the weekend. And she would go
I
up
think
to
that
said Dusk Walker and
that
go,
was
"Rah!"
Kyle.
That was me, yeah. I didn't notice it. I think it must have been one of you said that she was roaring at me, so she did it again, and I roared, peeking around the corner at her.
She absolutely loved it.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Wholesome monster vibes.
I was also surprised by the 360 camera that was there.
Yeah, that was super
so
cool.
much fun. None of us were expecting it, and I loved that you could download the videos right away.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so awkward doing it. I never know what to do with those things, but I just had fun watching people do it. I loved watching people go as their characters or just kind of goof around. It was I would love to see all of those uploaded somewhere.
Oh yeah, that'd be
I
cool.
mean, they are, like, when you follow the link, it did show, like, all of them. I went through some of them and just looked and watched, so
Fun.
I don't know how long they stay up there, but you could check again.
Yeah, I have to check it out and see. But it was really cool. It was, I did not expect that to be there, but that was a fun little memento of the event. And then
nice little surprise.
Right. And then the last night of it, for the evening activity, they had the book trivia. Did anybody do book trivia?
Oh, we did, yeah.
Our table was hilarious that we
I
ended
think
up
most
with.
tables were
It was
hilarious.
all a bunch of
yeah.
I mean, it was all a bunch of strangers, and we're all just yelling, and Cassie's trying to run all this thing. None of us can see the dang TV. Also,
my
we
God,
got
yeah.
desserts, which I was pleasantly surprised at.
We were detachable penis.
We were no thoughts, just
Yes.
vibes.
Wasn't it no fucks, just vibes?
No thoughts, just vibes.
I'm trying to remember. I think we were like
Opal
Monster
was literally
DMV or
the table right
something.
next to us, and whenever a question came up about Opal's books, she'd like run to other tables and tell them fake answers.
That's what she was doing. I love there were a few of them where, like, they asked a question and then the author everybody looked over to the authors and then they revealed the answer, and a couple times they're like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Heard it from the horse's mouth right there. So yeah, my table was a bunch of strangers. We did not know each other. We thought we knew our books, but none of us knew the answers. I think we had, like, I swear, the lowest points, but we had fun, and that's what it was about. So it's fine.
I think we did
At our
better than we
table,
thought.
somebody brought ube cookies.
Nice. I think I met that person the first day. Like ube matcha cookies. They were very good.
Yeah.
I like asked her for the recipe. Anything else about the event that we haven't talked about?
I never wanted to leave.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah. 2 days. I think it could have gone 3 days and been great.
I agree.
Absolutely.
It really could have. Honestly, I asked probably about 25 different vendors and authors. It felt like it was just like just how they were enjoying it, and every single author, every single vendor that I spoke to, even the tattoo artists, were talking about how wonderful this convention was. And even after the con and talking to some of them, it's become kind of, even like the authors referring to it as like the pinnacle of the book cons that they've been to.
Mm-hmm. And I believe
it was nice
they
because
did
there was
well.
such
a lot of them sold out, which is good. It's good for their business too.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
Rose Santriello sold out halfway through first session is when they sold out. And I actually overheard, I was walking through the hotel and I overheard Cass. He was so incredible. You guys have been amazing. And everybody's been so kind and polite. And I was sitting there just giggling and going, hee, I know what's happening.
Yeah, I do kind of want to say on that note, the last round of the bookish trivia was like they showed a piece of artwork from a book, and they had to guess like what it was and who the author was, and they started saying that all of this art has been cleared by the hotel. I don't know how they got that artwork cleared.
Definitely not safe for work.
No. But it was
And
a
it was
good
up there on a
time.
big screen
Children's
TV for all to
game.
see.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe the person who was reviewing it liked that book.
Maybe, but still,
I mean, that could have been the entire book trivia. It was just like pictures and guessing what it's from, and that would have been fun. Like it was
Yeah, that would have
such a
been
good time.
Would have been, yeah.
Definitely needed a couple more screens for that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't see. I'm like, I wear glasses.
'Cause,
I
yeah.
can't see y'all. Like,
And
all
Yeah,
of
I
us-
kept running up with phones and taking
all a bunch of
pictures.
nerds here. None of us can see what's happening.
We're all
that
blind.
is something that I remember Tally talking about, and like when they were discussing ahead of time that Saturday would be bookish trivia and pajama themed, we were expecting it to be like a little cozy kind of intimate event. I don't know if intimate's the right
There
word,
were
but
so many more people.
it was
than I
like
Yeah.
the
expected.
entire
It was
atrium full of
packed.
tables.
Yeah, it was so busy.
I think everybody who was at the con and then some were at that trivia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just like it was the last thing, so everyone was like, "I have to be there.
Yep.
I don't care what it is, but it's the last time I'm gonna get to hang out with all of you. I need to be there."
Right. Agreed. Yeah. All in all, it was a great event. I hope I get to go back to it again if they do it again, and I would 100% recommend it to anyone who likes monster romance. It was a great event.
Agreed, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I think you guys have said somewhat where people can find you, but if there's anything else you want to plug, any projects you're doing, any websites, what you're reading, a charity, whatever, anything else you want to plug before I do the little outro.
All right. I will. So, as I said, you can find me on Instagram at Smut and Stitches. I try to do reviews. It's almost all monster romance with some occasional contemporary and fantasy thrown in. I am also a rep for Renegade Romance, and they're an amazing group of people, LGBTQ inclusive, great book boxes, great merch. And then I also have an Etsy shop where you can get the little trinkets that I brought for trade. So bookmarks, keychains, earrings, and my Etsy shop is called Two Black Dogs Co.
As I said earlier, I am phaser shift pretty much everywhere, even though I'm not very active. But I will say that doing this Orpheus cosplay for Monsterotica has inspired me again to work on more cosplays. And so I've got another kind of monsterish one for an anime con coming up, at least planned. And posting about it on Instagram or even anywhere, I don't really share things, but I've posted a couple progress pictures of the Orpheus there. So I'm thinking maybe I'll start posting more cosplays and stuff on there. Maybe.
That'd be
Probably
fun.
not, but and someday I'll start streaming again.
Once again, I'm Rich. I'm Minotaur Reads on Instagram. I did just create that Instagram account after Monsterotica because that kind of gave me the kick I needed to start my own bookstagram that wasn't family and coworkers could see. But yeah, I mainly post reviews. It's relatively new, but yeah, hop on by. It's just, hoping to continue on.
Again, my name is Jen, DemiAngel2 on Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everything. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next Monsterotica.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Katie. I'm Madcap Katie on Instagram. I am currently transitioning to a Bookstagram account, so love to get to know people, reach out, meet some awesome new people.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for listening to Of Swords and Soulmates. Before we go, make sure to check the show notes, rate, review, and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice. It helps others to find us. Follow us on Instagram at Of Swords and Soulmates. Check us out on our website at ofswordsandsoulmates.com or on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Pinterest. Same username. If you'd like to offer a suggestion for a future episode or just give us your opinion, reach out to us on any of those methods. If you want to read along with us as we prep for new episodes, follow us on Goodreads at Of Swords and Soulmates or for chapter-by-chapter interaction on the Fable app at the Of Swords and Soulmates book club. And we now are also on Tome at Of Swords with Soulmates. Last but not least, if you enjoy Monster Romance and you enjoy podcasts, we'd love to point you to the Hissin' and Kissin' podcast. So it's Southern, it's without the G's, HISSN, in Kissing, KISSIN podcast. It's a monster romance podcast. They talk about monsters in general, and then books, media, video games, fan fiction, etc. They're good people, good times, would recommend. Anything else anybody wants to say before we wrap it up?
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
guys
thanks
for
so
coming.
much.
Yeah,
It's been
thank
a
you so much.
wonderful
It's been a
time.
blast.
It was great
Absolutely.
talking to you guys again.
Same. Alrighty, well, bye.
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 Bye.